5 more businesses least likely to fail in 2023. Let's get started. Coming in at number 6, the self-storage business. Let's talk about that. Why in the world do people want to have self-storage? I mean, where's all this stuff coming from? All right, so back in time, around I'd say about the 1980s, things kind of started to shift. And what I mean by that, people just started buying a lot more stuff, and people started accumulating stuff, and they wouldn't get rid of it. So what they found was that they had all this stuff in their house that they weren't really using, and they needed to make some room for more stuff. The self-storage business was born, and it started growing and growing and growing. So looking forward, do we see any change in that trend? More than likely not. There are pros and cons to this. I would say that if the economy slows down, discretionary spending slows down, then people are going to stop buying nearly as much stuff. So new stuff comes in, they've got to put it someplace. That may slow down a little bit, but on the other hand, you have one of the largest segments in our population, the baby boomers, that are going through a stage of their life that they're downsizing their homes. So if they're downsizing their homes, they have to do something with that stuff. So what they'll do is put it in storage because they don't want to throw it away. They don't necessarily want to sell it. Then a lot of them want to keep it for their kids and grandkids, so they'll put it in storage. Now, if I were getting into the storage business, I would go as modern as possible, meaning forget the padlock to get into a gate. Forget about having somebody necessarily manning the location all the time. Rather go to an iPhone app, an Android app to allow access to the facility, and that way also there's security because the owner can see who's coming in and who's going. I would modernize the process as much as possible. Also, it goes without saying, do your billing online. Set it up as a subscription type billing so you're paid by credit card every month automatically. You have to control these sites. They need to be kept clean. And if you happen to have somebody that misses a payment, then you have to take action, have the stuff sold off. If they're not going to pay their bill, you have to have the stuff sold off, or you have to put it in a dumpster. So you're going to be looking at a little bit of labor there as far as taking the stuff out and getting it to a dumpster. So people like to store stuff that they think they're either going to use later or hand down, but they also like to store their boats, their RVs, their cars, their motorcycles, and even tractor and trailers. There's a lot of times where somebody might drive a tractor or trailer and they don't have room for that at their home. So they need a site that's going to be close by where they can park it and have it secured. Another question you want to ask, do you want to have climate controlled storage or no? It depends on the type of customer that you want and depends on the investment and how much you're going to charge. So take a look at it. Certainly there are a lot of benefits to climate controlled storage. Coming in at number 7, the healthcare business. Now this would include things like pharmacies, clinics, dentistry, doctor's office. There's a lot of cost to starting this, and obviously you need to have a degree and credentials. One thing that I think's been interesting over the years would be the mom and pop pharmacies, the pharmacies that just have maybe 1 or 2 locations. When the big boxes came along and started getting into pharmacy, like Walmart and the like, I thought, gosh, this really could be the end of the mom and pop single double store pharmacy, but that's not been the case. Okay, well, why is that? And I think really it comes down to trust. We've talked about trust in business. I think people need to trust their pharmacy. They need to trust their pharmacist. So there's a tendency to trust the local pharmacist. Doctors and dentists, again, obviously you need a degree, credentials. You can go solo or in a group. You have to take insurance for payments, obviously, if you're in that business. Also, you have to be aware there are high insurance costs with it as well. A lot of this healthcare has been driven by meds and driven by scripts. I mean, the pharmaceutical companies, once they switched over to being allowed to advertise on TV, because there actually was a time where you could not advertise pills, drugs on TV. Once they were allowed to do that, medication just skyrocketed. It really took off because they were going directly to the consumer saying, hey, if you have this ache or pain, we've got the pill for you. Go see your doctor about it and he can write you a script. The pharmaceutical businesses really took off at that point. Coming in at number 8, the agriculture business. So we're talking about a business that has an 88% success rate. We're talking about raising crops, cattle, chickens, eggs, corn, fish, pigs, wheat, soybean, you name it. Startup costs would include the land that you're on, the equipment, and the buildings. Prices in this category would be largely controlled by market. You can raise your crops, raise your cattle, your livestock on farmland, but then also you can raise it in a warehouse. There's a tendency to raise vegetables now in a climate-controlled warehouse where they can really control the water, the air, and the light and come out with a terrific product. Your market can be the world because there are parts of the world that cannot grow either because of climate or because of space. They cannot grow livestock or vegetables or any of that kind of stuff. Now, the trend in this category, which I think it's a long-term trend moving forward, and that is to develop whole foods. In other words, you're raising livestock with no meds. You're raising vegetables with no chemicals, or at least limited amounts of meds or chemicals, no steroids, and we're dealing with local farmers. So you actually know the people that are raising the vegetables or raising the beef, and you know what they're doing. You can trust them. Prices are not necessarily controlled by market, and since this is a situation where you know the people are raising the product and you know they're doing it the right way, then they can control a premium price for their product. So yes, agriculture business could be very big, and you don't have to start out big. You don't have to picture a 100-acre farm and go from there. You could start small. I mean, good grief, look at the price of eggs right now, right? Coming in at number 9, the dump truck business. So if you're in an area of the country where there's, say, a mine, like a surface mine, underground mine, or you're in an area of the country where they just have products that you need to transport from one point to another. It could be dirt that you excavate up, or it could be corn or wheat, any of those kind of things that you need a dump truck. I can tell you where I'm at. I can just take a baseball right now and throw it out on the highway, and I'll probably hit a dump truck because we're in an area where there are a lot of dump trucks running up and down the road. Keep in mind that if you want to get into the dump truck business, you'll have to have a CDL, which is a commercial driver's license. Your driving record has to allow for you to apply for one. Then you go through training, you go through testing, and then you have a commercial driver's license. The equipment that you'll need, obviously, is a dump truck, either new or used or leased, whatever the case may be. But the dump truck business, if you're in an area that there is a need, could be a good one for you to do. Well, the 10th business, least likely to fail in 2023, would be any business really, that have no financial hurdles, that have great management, have a great business plan, have a great marketing plan with a marketing calendar, and most importantly, any business where you get help from an expert that's already done it or already done a like business, and you seek out help from an expert. Because here's the thing with these top 5 lists of whatever it may be, but in our case, the top 5 businesses, top 10 businesses that are least likely to fail in 2023, obviously any business can fail, and almost any business can succeed. So before you get into business, be aware of what you're doing, go out, seek help, put these plans together, and you'll do fine.